We'll get into that discussion later on the show. But let's say a wonderful shout out to our sponsor, bet138.com. Win every day, making this possible for us. And you can turn your passion into some real cash. Make a move to 138.com, the best online sports betting and virtual gaming company in town. Introducing our online casino. Well, that's a new thing. Now register and bet with us to enjoy 200% bonus on your first deposit on www.138.com. Feel the taste of better odds, endless markets, and prompt payments. Live in-play betting. Enjoy our unbeatable odds boost for all major leagues and Champions League matches. Yes, 138.com is licensed and regulated by the Gaming Commission of Ghana. Please, not for persons under 18 years. Bet responsibly. Join the winning team now. 138.com. Win every day. And we really have to start this show from a very good place. 4 years ago, we were all excited with what this young lady did for us. Martha Bisa at the Youth Olympics.
200 meters to go. It's Ngeri of Ethiopia, Kalis of Germany, and still Bisa, the African youth bronze medalist, is still there. The three of them side by side. Ngeri just got barged a little bit there as the German tried to find a way through on the outside. And what a try for the line here from Martha Bisa. The Ghanaian is producing the performance of her life. Maureen Kalis is trying to close, but it's too late. Bissau has taken the gold medal. Martha Bissau was unstoppable. She's upgraded her third place in the African Youth Championships to become...
That was Martha Bisa doing wonderful for Ghana there, winning, I think, our first Olympic gold medal. That was really great at the Youth Olympics then in Asia. And of course, we're looking for what will be happening. So we're going to start right from there. And there is a race to try and at least equal the feat or do better. The 2018 Youth Olympic Games will be taking place in Buenos Aires, Argentina. And we know Ghana has up to four of these athletes going to represent us. We've got Sandra Mensima Owusu in weightlifting. We've got Kelvin Cabo in beach volley. We've got Solomon Dafo in athletics, Abeko Jackson swimming, and Eric Chachu beach volleyball. And they all left Accra and are in Buenos Aires now for the event. Now joining me to do some analysis on this, my colleague Benedict Owusu. Benedict, how are you doing this afternoon?
Yeah, George, I'm doing great. I hope you're good.
I am very
awesome.
Good, and it's good to have you on the show. Let's quickly get into this right now. We'll have to get in depth in this because we're just wondering, do you think we are anywhere close in terms of our preparations to what we saw in 2014? It's an interesting question because I'm not too sure how well they prepared in 2014.
Well, preparations have always been a problem for us anytime we're going for major competitions, and for these crop of athletes, the four, in terms of their preparations, I mean, going to compete with the likes of the South Africans from Africa, and also the big nations that we all know are always doing very well when it comes to these competitions. I mean, you would want to take the team out of the country to prepare them, but these crop of athletes had to stay here. I mean, Solomon Diafo, for example, moved from Kumasi to Accra and was training at the Owak Stadium on that tartan tracks, and you can imagine potholes, potholes, tartan tracks. That's where he was training. And for an athlete of that nature, if you pair him with the likes of athletes from the USA, from Jamaica, and he does not even place last, he does not even place last, then there's nothing like placing last, but if he does not even place last, then
it's a miracle.
It should be a miracle for you. And you look at the beach volleyball team, they were at the Laboma beach here in Accra training with their coach, and also they had two partners. The day I went, myself and Selwyn, they had two partners that they were training with. So they were not exposed to any international competition, or probably maybe international athletes of their stature and nature to train with them going for the competition. Abeko Jackson, yes, he's been going for competition. This is not new to Abeko Jackson. So for him, probably maybe you say that he recently returned from Canada where he participated in a swimming competition. He's been going for FIBA in Spain and other
Olympics
countries. So
things,
for Abeko Jackson, you could say that in terms of his preparations and everything, cool. But the other athletes, I'm afraid, for someone like Sandra Mensima, this is the very first time she's even going to participate in a major competition. She started weightlifting not too long ago. Major competition was in Africa, and now she's moving to the world. And when I interviewed her before they left, she spoke about how, you know, some of these things and some of these competitions, when they are going and you see the great athletes and the great nations coming, you know, even put some fear in you. It's a first time, so you need to psych her up. You need to do so many things. So in terms of our preparations, George, it's not something that we have to be happy about. And if they go and are unable to do well, we
can't put pressure on them. And I think GOC President Benunu Mensah indicated that there should be no need to worry them, because we can't put so much pressure on them to go for the medals. But let's see what it is. I mean, you spoke about, you know, Abeku Jackson in swimming. Weightlifting have given us some good results in the past few years. So are these areas where we can be hopeful for a medal of a sort?
Well, swimming, I think, we can't be because of Abeku Jackson's experience participating in competitions of this nature. For weightlifting, I don't want us to put pressure on the young lady, because this is her first time, 16-year-old Sandra Mensah. So this is her very first time. So George, you wouldn't want to put pressure on her to win a medal. For beach volley, yes, the guys look very strong, and if indeed they're going to get good pairings and play very well, I think probably maybe we can get something out of beach volleyball. They sounded very optimistic when I interviewed them. For Solomon Diafo, if Solomon is able to win a medal, that will be a miracle. I mean, it will be a miracle for us. It's same as, we didn't expect Matabisa to win a medal.
I don't think we did. That's what me very cautious with
gold.
Yes,
so if Solomon is able to win a medal, it will be a miracle based on where he was training.
But that's the problem, Benedict. God will want to do this every 80 years, not every 4 years.
That's what we live with in this country. Everything is God. But you have to prepare.
Yeah, I know.
You know, you have to prepare. When you ask footballers, when you ask athletes, they always counting on God. But yeah, God will do it. But you also have to prepare.
Let's talk about the competition, Benedict, just before you leave us. And which other African countries are in there? Is there quite a number of them?
Yeah, quite a number of African countries. We have a total of 45 African countries participating.
Wow.
Yeah, 45 out of 45. The 206 teams that are participating.
Well, that's a huge
number. And also, I mean, you look at the representation, especially South Africa, they are taking 70 athletes.
Wow.
70 athletes as against that of 5 for Ghana, and also Egypt is taking 68 athletes. Tunisia are taking 38. So normally, apart from South Africa, you always will see the North African countries taking so many athletes to these competitions. It's not just about taking them, but qualifying, because if you don't qualify, you will not get the opportunity to be there. And for South Africa, I remember in 2015 at the All Africa Games in Congo, I mean, some of these athletes came and they did very well. And you look at the number. That's how come they're able to win medals, because now you have people participating in swimming, athletics, people participating in so many events, and that way definitely there will be a medal. But in our case, where we have we
just got a part 3-5. So Benedict, before you go, you know, what does that mean, and what does that say about our preparation for bigger competitions? Because one country is taking 70 athletes. They know what they're about in terms of Tokyo 2020, in terms of what's upcoming. And if we're sending 5 this is Youth Olympics. But what does it say about how we're preparing for the future?
The most important thing is to expose our athletes to participate more. So when they get to participate in so many competitions, they definitely will make the time and qualify. But here we are, athletes are not given the opportunity. There are no funds for these athletes to participate in major competitions. So in that case, how are they going to qualify to participate in this competition? It's not just about sending names of athletes to a competition. They must earn their place there, and earning your place there means you have to participate in a competition and make the time and qualify. But in our case, our athletes are not doing that. Solomon Diafo, as I mentioned, is based in Kumasi, so he definitely will go through the circuit and will make the qualification. Mensah also going, and the beach volleyball team. But South Africa, the other African teams, Egypt, you look at Tunisia, Algeria, Morocco, Mauritius, they are taking not less than 20 athletes to this championship. And what is that they do? It's very simple. All that they do is they expose their athletes to major competitions, so many competitions that will help get the athletes there, the qualification time. That's the most important thing. So if going forward, if we are planning to take more athletes to Tokyo and do very well, what we have to do is let's expose our athletes, let them go for
and get to the universities and do it. Because I'm looking at the correlation there. The World University Games, same people are going to compete here at the Youth Olympics,
and you know
the same will be at the Olympics itself.
You know the sad thing, even the African Youth Championship, we are not able to send so many athletes.
Yeah, so it tells you then.
So it tells you how, if you are not able to send so many athletes to the African Youth Championship, then please forget about the world. You know, Africa, we are not able to do that. How can we do that when we get to the world? So for the athletes that we are even sending, the 5 athletes participating in the 4 disciplines, George, if they don't win anything,
it's not surprising.
I think it won't come to me as a surprise
on that.
But as we always say, you know, put our hopes and everything in God. Let's pray that we'll get another Martha Bisa, because the motivation for these athletes going into championship of this nature
just
is to look at the Martha Bisa story, that they'll be able to do well. You get the opportunity probably maybe in the near future to study in the US, just as Martha Bisa is there.
All right. I have to say a big thank you, Benedict, for joining me up here then. We'll see how that works out. But of course, we have to move away from athletics, Olympics and everything, and talk a little bit about Formula 1. I'll give you the updates on what's happening in the practice.
And Hamilton is coming back at him, and he's got a great toe. Oh, and he wanted to go down the inside, but there wasn't room, and at the last moment just had to back off. How they didn't touch there, I don't know, but Hamilton's going for it again towards turn 4. Has he got enough on the Ferrari? Underbraking to squeeze down the inside. Hamilton's done it! Lewis Hamilton gets past Sebastian Vettel the second time of asking. That was brilliant racing. For the 3rd time in his Formula 1 career, Lewis Hamilton sees the checkered flag and wins the Russian Grand Prix. Sebastian Vettel loses 10 points to his championship rival. He comes home on the podium but is now 50 points behind in the Drivers' Championship.
And you know, there's a time in Formula 1 where we do it back to back to back. So, you know, only last week we're in Sochi to get all of that sorted out. And then this week we're in Japan. I'm saying we're in Japan like I'm a driver or whatever. It's Suzuka. That's where it's happening. And of course, we had 2 practice sessions already. So we know that Lewis Hamilton was in scintillating form as Mercedes dominated this morning, I should say, in the Japanese Grand Prix there for you. He was 0.833 seconds clear of title rival Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari. That was 0.461 seconds faster than teammate Valtteri Bottas at the Suzuka track. So we're looking forward to what happens here. You know, the difference between, Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel go whooping 50 points. So there is a lot to do in this. But, you know, Lewis Hamilton is looking good already in practice. So we'll see who gets the position and how these really go down. You are still live on Joy 99.7 FM. We put up the question there for Manchester United fans and everybody to have a go at this, really. Do you think Jose Mourinho can turn around the situation? There's a big discussion on Real Madrid as well coming up here on the show. But now we have to quickly go for the Joy Sports BBC two-way series. It's been great. Today we had a lady to speak to, Mars Faruqi, was on the tour, and I had a wonderful chat with her. We can enjoy this, and when I come back, we will get straight into the analysis. Thanks for your time this weekend, and let's begin with midweek Champions League action. Are Liverpool fans down here justified to panic following their team's performance in the last 3 outings?
You're right, it wasn't a great performance in midweek by Liverpool in the Champions League, was it? We've got used to a brand of free-flowing football by Jurgen Klopp's side, with lots of goals, lots of excitement, lots of pace. And the performance of Napoli on Wednesday seemed to be a bit flat, wasn't it? In fact, they didn't record a single shot on target all match. And then, of course, they conceded that last-minute goal, which gave Napoli the 1-0 win. Before Wednesday, they played back-to-back games against Chelsea. They lost 2-1 in the League Cup, and they needed a really late goal from Daniel Sturridge in the league fixture to steal a 1-1 draw at the end. So these aren't the exciting performances we've become used to seeing from Liverpool under Klopp, as we say. But I think that late goal from Sturridge in the league game against Chelsea showed another side to Liverpool this season, so the fans shouldn't panic yet. They managed to get something from a difficult situation, a difficult game, and that wasn't something that they were really able to do last season. So I think that's the mark, the proof, if you like, of a title-winning side, the ability to pick up points in difficult games, in difficult circumstances. So I think the Liverpool fans shouldn't be too concerned at this stage of the season yet and still be quite hopeful.
Well, it's not been smooth sailing for Manchester City, who had to labour in producing the much-needed win at Hoffenheim. Is Pep Guardiola's failure to play pragmatic football the reason why he has failed to win the Champions League since 2011?
Yes, Manchester City needed a late winner from David Silva, didn't they, on Tuesday to win their match at Hoffenheim. They actually fell behind in that match in the opening minute, a real lapse in concentration. They had to rely on Sergio Aguero to draw them level before that Silva goal. And they really needed that win as well after losing to Lyon in their opening match in Europe this season. As you say, Guardiola hasn't won this competition for some time now. And his recent record with City in Europe won't sit well with him either. They've lost 4 matches in a row in Europe before that win on Tuesday. Perhaps Guardiola wants his team to play a certain way, as you say, and maybe that can be detrimental. We saw in the quarter-final against Liverpool last season, didn't we, that they didn't really seem to have a plan B when things were going against them. Maybe as well, though, other teams in Europe raise their game for matches against Manchester City. They're the English champions, of course. They boast such a wealth of fantastic players. It isn't hard to imagine that players will get and teams will get really excited about playing against them. What we can say, though, about Guardiola and City is that the desire to win the Champions League this season and in recent seasons coming up is obvious and really apparent to everyone. Guardiola lifted the trophy twice with Barcelona. He and the club will be desperate for him to repeat that feat at City.
English Premier League next, and we have a blockbuster to look forward to in Liverpool, Manchester City. It's been a long, rough road for Liverpool. Will they have enough in the attack against City?
You're right, it's been a long week or so for Liverpool, hasn't it? Those back-to-back matches against Chelsea, as we already mentioned, before that defeat at Napoli in midweek in the Champions League. They've also had one less day to recover and prepare for this match in contrast to Manchester City. They played away in Europe on Wednesday. City played at home on Tuesday, so will tiredness be a factor in a match? We don't know, but it is one that's likely to be fast, lots of energy, and possibly decided on small margins. But Jurgen Klopp's side have been a bogey team for Pep Guardiola recently, as we said. They've won 3-1 matches last season when they played against them, 1 in the league, 2 in Europe. So even with a disappointing trip away in Europe this week, I can't imagine that Liverpool won't be up and confident that they can get a result on Sunday.
United fans are still not happy, and expecting a wonderful atmosphere at Old Trafford when they face Newcastle is a big ask. Is there anything Jose Mourinho can do at this stage to win them back?
You're right, his relationship with the fans has reached an all-time low, I think it would be fair to say. There were some boos, not a lot, but some fans did boo at full time in their 0-0 draw with Valencia at Old Trafford in midweek. That's not something we've really seen from the fans before, and afterwards when the manager was asked about it, he said the fans should be allowed to express themselves because of freedom of speech. He's now the holder of a really unwanted record in the league as well. Under him, his side have made the worst start to a Premier League campaign in United's history. They've lost 3 matches in the league, and the thing that upsets the fans is not just the defeat, but the manner of the kind of football that they've been playing has really been troubling them. Also, his relationship with some of his players. There's been that very public spat with Paul Pogba, of course, but also some of his criticism of Luke Shaw in the last season or so hasn't been received very well by some of the fans. So for them, you can imagine that Mourinho, in their eyes, is running out of chances, as you say. They play Newcastle on Saturday. The fans would normally expect a comfortable home win against a side like Newcastle, who haven't won yet in the league this season. But they will need a big performance from the players and from Mourinho. They will expect not just a win, but a big win. And I think that's the only thing that's really going to keep Mourinho at the club really at the moment. Otherwise, he could really be in big trouble.
Finally, which games will you be keeping tabs on this weekend in the EPL?
Well, as we've already talked about, the blockbuster this weekend, you really can't see beyond that top-of-the-table clash on Sunday between the joint leaders Liverpool and Manchester City. They're both unbeaten in the league this season. This really could provide an early twist in the title race, even at this early stage of the season. And Liverpool have recent history against City on their side, as we said, so expect lots of goals in that one. Also keen, as we say, to see how United get on at home against Newcastle, with all that pressure on Jose Mourinho for his side to perform well and win big. And so behind those top 2 teams, I'm keen to see how the three teams chasing them might get on in their games, to see whether one of them might be able to take advantage of a defeat for Liverpool or City. Chelsea, they're still unbeaten in the league, of course. Let's see how they get on at Southampton. See if Tottenham can get over their disappointing defeat to Barcelona in midweek when they lost at Wembley, with a win at home to Cardiff. And if Arsenal's recent run of good form under Unai Emery can continue, and they can win at Fulham.
Alright, so the BBC's Mars Faruqi there on the Joy Sports BBC Two-Way Series. That's what will happen in England. Let's find out what will be happening elsewhere in Europe. Here's Moses Yeboah.
In the Spanish La Liga, relieved Ernesto Valverde will count on their masterclass performance in the Champions League as a tonic when Barcelona welcome Villarreal to the Camp Nou on Sunday. But under Julen Lopetegui will hope Real Madrid will turn the corner in their clash away to Deportivo Alaves. Juventus, who have not dropped points so far, travel to Udinese in the Italian Serie A on Saturday. Thomas Tuchel's flying start to life in the French Ligue 1 have seen PSG demolish teams with panache, and this weekend Olympique Lyon could be their next victim when both clash at the Parc des Princes. Contrastingly, Niko Kovac and Bayern Munich know they must get back to winning ways after uncharacteristic 3-game winless run in all competitions. But Saturday's guest Borussia Mönchengladbach will have ambitions of their own. Marco Reus and his free-scoring Borussia Dortmund teammates will seek to bring Augsburg back down to earth when they meet on Saturday. Unbeaten Chelsea travel to struggling Southampton as Mauricio Sarri's side look to keep up the pressure on league leaders Manchester City. And it's a top-of-the-table clash as unbeaten Liverpool entertain unbeaten Man City, who sit top of the table on goal difference going into the weekend. And Manchester United return to Premier League action on Saturday evening when winless Newcastle United come to Old Trafford. The Reds, who drew 0-0 with Valencia at home in the UEFA Champions League on Tuesday night, will be determined to sign off for the season's second international break by picking up maximum points in front of the home fans.
Live on radio, live online, this is The Locker Room with George Addo Jr.
And we're asking you, Manchester United fans, do you think Jose Mourinho can turn things around? Not quite. From what I've seen here, Shamo Nesta says Jose Mourinho's system has expired. Manchester United need a new hashtag. I can see buses. Am I right with that? A new bus driver. That's what he's looking for. Now, Ken Brucius Bruce says, no way. Jose Mourinho is finished. He should rather be a technical director for Portugal. Now, how harsh is that? Well, Enoch IC says that he must be Sakra. You'll not be waiting for that Newcastle game, because I've heard quite a number of Manchester United fans say, well, if he's not able to win against Newcastle, that will be, what, not winning in 5 games, and so he probably deserves to go. Ali Yukasha says that yes, by going away, you want to see him go. Yakubu Ibn Rufai says impossible. Let's hear from you on our WhatsApp line 0244340437, and then on our Facebook page joy/99.7, or you can tweet at us at Joy Sports GH. So it's now time to get into our analysis right now in terms of what we're looking at. It's about Real Madrid. It's been difficult for Real Madrid to score a goal. In the last 3 games, they have not produced a goal. That's a total of 270 minutes plus. And we're asking ourselves the question, really, what's going on with Real Madrid? Can we revisit that discussion we had at the beginning of the season? Is it just a situation where Real Madrid cannot live without Ronaldo?
To return it where Ronaldo goes for the overhead kick, scores an unbelievable goal. Overhead kick finish into the corner. Ronaldo again. 2-0 Real Madrid. Well, it is almost beyond the boundaries of belief, except this is Cristiano Ronaldo, where anything is possible.
They're not creating the chances that they should do. They may be having quite a lot of the ball, but there's a lack of efficiency, there's a lack of ability to take the opportunities, the few that they make.
Poor ball. And it's 1-0 to CSKA Moscow. Nikola Vlasic from the terrible pass by Toni Kroos. And what a surprise here inside 2 minutes. The holders are behind.
And you know what we were saying a couple of weeks ago when we were saying, well, no, this side is showing that can live without Cristiano Ronaldo. Well, now, inevitably, the debate has come back and says, well, can they?
Oh, all right. I don't know if Real Madrid can live without Ronaldo. I've got guys I'm living in the studio with, 3 of them joining me this afternoon. Safo Bafojima, good afternoon. How are you doing?
Very fine, George.
Okay, that's good. And of course, Oriku Ampofo, how are you doing?
I'm doing very good.
Hans Mensah Andor, how are you
George
doing?
Addo.
Well, we've been
Very well. How's it going?
yeah, it's good. We've been having interesting discussions from politics to sports and all of that. Guys, so well, it's not such a laughing matter really when you get into Real Madrid. They're beginning to have issues. But guys, let me start with Safo Bafojima. It's a good place to start from, right? 3 games. 3 games without a goal. The last time this happened was in 2007. It also tells you the story about 2007 itself for Real Madrid. Are these dangerous times? Is anything really the problem now for Madrid?
I think there are cause for concerns for Madrid. And for me, I think that they overly overestimated the veracity of the issue at hand, especially when they lost Ronaldo. Perhaps they thought that since they had won the Champions League for 3 consecutive seasons, they had the players who were available to replicate such a performance. Good for them, they started the season very well. But George, for me, if you lose a player like Cristiano Ronaldo and you reluctantly decide to bring him on board just one player in the shape of Mariano Diaz, especially in terms of the attacking position, it's going to come back to haunt you. And it's not often that we say this, but for me, the way I see Madrid now, I think they lack depth in their squad. They have a fantastic first 11. But if you look at some of the players on their bench in the last few games, you would realize how and why they find themselves in this situation. We all knew Gareth Bale was a fantastic player, but he's a player who is prone to injuries. So when Ronaldo was there, Ronaldo was playing so well. Gareth Bale often comes from injury and will be the available option on the bench. But now, if you have Gareth Bale injured, which player is coming to replace him? Against Sevilla, for instance, if you look at the players on the Madrid bench, George, these were young players who really didn't have any European, Spanish La Liga games under their belt. They had people like Llorente on the bench, Dani Ceballos, Vallejo, Mariano Diaz, Lucas Vazquez, and Vinicius Junior. George, these were the players on the Madrid bench against Sevilla. So, if the likes of Benzema, Gareth Bale, and Asensio are struggling to score, do you expect a player like Vazquez, Mariano Diaz, Ceballos, or Vallejo to come from the bench and score goals for you? So for me, I think the manager, the club, they underestimated the impact the absence of Ronaldo was going to have on them, and perhaps they were lucky to have won the early games, but now the cracks are there for all to see.
And so it's huge concern there. That's Safaba for Jima. Let me come to Ray Kwampofo. Let's do the analysis of what has not been working and how these things really look on paper, because for a fact they have been creating chances.
Definitely, and I think the main issue we need to address here is the fact that there's now nobody in that Real Madrid side who steps out on a match day to say, I need to score. There's no pressure anymore. And if a player goes 2-3 games without scoring, there's no pressure. But we remember when Ronaldo was there, 2 games, people start to talk about the fact there's a goal drought. So nobody takes it upon himself to actually go out there and score a goal on a match day. But then I think the trouble really began against Sevilla. You know, when they started the season, they met the likes of Leganés, they met Girona, they met Getafe.
Not to forget, Leganés beat Barcelona. Just for Real Madrid fans sitting by.
But then they won heavy. And all of a sudden, people started
scoring 4 and 5. So we don't care about Ronaldo anymore.
They were like, you know, the whole team seems to be getting goals from all angles. Now it's more about the team, which was right, which was perfectly right. But then you look at the quality of the opposition, and I think that's where a lot of people ignored. And they didn't just ignore the warning signs from that match, but I think that the Super Cup fixture where Atletico Madrid offered enough warning signs. We all saw how Real Madrid really lacked a potent man up front, and it was ignored and it went on. They started the season pretty well, but I think their real problem started against Sevilla. And as you know, Ronaldo's favorite opponents in Spain, one of his favorite opponents in Spain is Sevilla, and in just 18 appearances, he scored 28 goals against them. So you can imagine being a Sevilla centre-back, standing in that tunnel, coming out with Ronaldo. Already, you have that fear that, how am I going to stop this guy? Now, you look at this Real Madrid team. I'm sure the Sevilla guys look so confident, and if you watch the match, you realize that the Sevilla centre backs were so composed. They pressed them high, and it almost as if looked as if Real Madrid were the smaller club there. And teams are starting to take advantage of them. You realize that in the game against Sevilla, they played 21 shots. That's a lot, George. 21 shots. They come to the game against Atletico. Now you're playing a team with a goalkeeper who has more clean sheets than goals conceded. Now look through that lineup that they started with. Who is going to score black in that team? They managed to play 15 shots, and yet again they didn't score. Now they go to Russia,
CSKA.
And in Russia, a game that they were supposed to win in a competition where they've dominated for the past 2 years, they managed 26 shots. And out of that 26, you had Benzema playing 3 shots from the box, and Mariano, who came on for just 30 minutes, played 4 shots from the box. Asensio had 1 from the box. Vazquez had none. So they are creating the chances. Everyone is trying to score, but it's just
nobody's carrying the pressure and the responsibility truly and say, I have to score. I want to make it happen. And they don't have an imposing figure. Let me come to your hands on this one. Then we have to go to the new coach, because he's feeling very comfortable. I like his movement on the touchline always, and he looks very comfortable. But very soon he might be in hot waters. Look, how much of the problem is he playing in all of this? How much of it is he contributing to this, if or not? Or maybe he's done nothing, it's just a system, and that's how he goes through that.
I really don't think that there is much wrong with the system or tactics. Tactically, I don't think that he's done too much wrong. We mentioned that they've been creating chances. Personnel. No, I don't think there's something wrong with it. Well, maybe choice of personnel in the sense that Ronaldo is no longer there, because
I agree that
is the only.
But some have been complaining that Luka Modric is being on the bench for too long, and he can understand why.
I've expressed concerns about
in important competitions.
I've expressed concerns about the fact that Modric, is not playing as consistently as he used to play before he came in. But then again, it is Real Madrid. Anybody that is put out there on the field, you expect that player to perform. But they are simply not scoring as many goals as they were scoring last year. And I talked about this before the start of the season. That look, if you look at the amount of goals they scored and look at the percentage or the amount of goals that Ronaldo scored out of the total number of goals he scored, especially in the Champions League last season, to win them that third straight UEFA Champions League title, I struggle to see how they are going to make up for Ronaldo's numbers in the Champions League. Because look, you are talking about Benzema. He's not half the finisher that Ronaldo is. You understand me? We've seen Gareth Bale on form. He's still not half the finisher that Ronaldo.
Still getting injured.
And then there's a personal ambition that I think somebody mentioned it. Oreku mentioned it, that there is nobody, walking onto the field of play with a desire to, or
I want to make this work.
Exactly. I want to score
the goal.
You see that in Ronaldo. He wants to score in every game. It drives him and it drives Real Madrid as well. And so you take the ambition, you take the fact that technically they are.
You don't have it.
Exactly. There's a gap between themselves.
Let me stick with you with Coach Lopetegui. My question to you there is, has he got a little agenda of trying to change things and gradually, get a graduation of new boys into the side?
I've heard people say that he wants to create his own tactical identity with Real Madrid. That he wants to come in and do his own thing. But
in terms of who he's going to pick.
In terms of the personality.
One of the key things is people try not to understand why Luka Modric should sit out.
And that could turn out to be a huge mistake. For now, I don't want to.
Even in the Champions League,
I don't want to focus on that too much. I think the most glaring thing is the absence of Ronaldo.
Okay.
That is the most glaring. But that in the end could turn out to be a mistake because it is not broken. Is Modric not playing well? He is. Are the players who are playing ahead of Modric playing better than he's doing?
No,
I don't think so. And so in the final analysis, it could turn out to be a huge mistake. But the most telling feature is that there is no Ronaldo.
Can they turn this around? They've got some time there before December. Can they turn it around? There's another issue. We're trying to turn this around with the January transfer window. But is there anything that can be done with the Madrid squad now?
I think in the immediate terms, they can turn things around. As it is now, they are level of points with Barcelona in the Spanish league. And they won their first game
in
the Champions League.
I don't know how it's working.
Yes.
That when Barcelona don't win, Madrid don't win.
As Hans rightly said,
Barcelona could have been way ahead anyway.
But when a team is struggling, you need to put your best foot forward.
Okay.
You need to use your most experienced players in the most important matches. Lopetegui needs to start playing Luka Modric. Whether in the league or the Champions League, Modric has had to start because you need leaders on the pitch. On the day you didn't have the likes of Sergio Ramos, Marcelo in your team, you decided to start Ceballos ahead of Modric. It doesn't often happen. And for me, if he wants to get the result, Modric needs to start. He needs to start his best players. When the Copa del Rey starts, you can start the young players.
But you don't quite answer the question about how they will get the goals.
In terms of the goals.
Are you hoping it's going to come?
In terms of the goals, the problem is that...
I know there's no Isco. That's another key problem here.
The problem is that, as Oreku said, they've been creating chances, but the likes of Benzema,
who's hitting the ball into
Benzema doesn't have the opportunity, doesn't seem to convert.
Yeah.
And the bottom line is that for a manager, you don't stand up there. It's the striker who's so he has to more
get the guys to win it.
Benzema to score the goal.
Quick statistics, quick statistics to echo the point I was making. Madrid scored 33 UEFA Champions League goals last season.
Yes.
Ronaldo scored 15.
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense.
And so,
you can
how are they going to replace those 15 goals? How are they going to make up for it?
This is a critical question because one man could be the scapegoat. It could be Lopetegui in December. If things go the way it's going, would it be fair if he's sacked?
I think Perez probably wouldn't sack him. He wouldn't sack him because
you don't know how bad things can go. I'm just looking at 3 matches, no goal, and the whole world is discussing it. 4 matches, 5 matches, no wins. Barcelona winning and stretching. Things could be looking interesting in December.
I think before the season, Perez met Lopetegui and they decided that they are fine without Ronaldo. They knew the repercussion of their decision, and they knew it will take some time to start a new era where you've been so over-reliant on a certain player, but then now he's there no more. So it's rebuilding a whole system. You look at Lopetegui's system and Zidane's system. There's a clear difference. With Zidane, often you realize that the midfield was very saturated and they could go direct and play a lot of long balls, get a ball wide and cross back inside. But with Lopetegui, what we're seeing is a gradual, slow build-up play where they go wide, come back to the midfield if there's no obvious pass in front. So it's a slow build-up play. It's a process that he's trying to impose on the team. And I think Perez understands that it's going to take some time. It's really not the coach's fault that he didn't come and meet his best player.
Yeah.
So it's more of a bigger issue for Real Madrid. And I think if it goes this way, we wouldn't see a Lopetegui sack, but we will see a new signing.
Okay, well, a new signing must definitely happen. Let's do this Manchester United bit before we step out here. And on that, I'll activate the phone line 0302-216-541, 0302-216-541. It's a simple question then. Do you think Jose Mourinho can turn things around at Manchester United? And it's good. It's really good. I've got 2 Manchester United guys in there. Raymond joined us lately. Now, I don't want long speeches. I understand. Okay, 3 Manchester United fans. And that's why I'm activating the phone lines to 0302-216-541. So let's hear from the Manchester United fans now. It will be good. Raymond Yamado is here, Selwyn Saki is here, Hans Andor is here.
Are you referring to the Manchester
United fans? And there's no way you can tell me you have left Manchester United. I have blocked all those resignations down. So let me start with Raymond. Can Jose Mourinho turn this around? And we're keeping our eyes on the phone calls as well. Manchester United fans, you can call us now. 0302-216-541. Raymond, can Jose turn it around?
George, Jose is done. I think that it's going to be a very difficult task for him.
We heard him this afternoon. He said there's a problem. We talk about it. He wants to move things on.
At this point, the relationship between himself and the players seems to be broken. It's totally broken. It's non-existent. There's no relationship between Jose Mourinho and the players. And I saw them play against Valencia, and you could just tell that these players were just trying to honor an obligation in their contract. They were just trying to be professionals. But if you ask me, for a team to have a manager who they believe in, for a team to actually try to go onto the pitch and display for the manager and to play for the bat that they're actually wearing, I think that this United team certainly doesn't look like one that wants to play for Jose Mourinho. It doesn't look like they are playing based on the instructions that the coach is giving them. So for me, I think that
Jose can't do the job.
Beyond the broken relationship is beyond redemption.
All right. Is it Jeff? Okay, Joel. Okay, Joel is calling us. Joel, thank you very much for joining me on the phone. How are you doing this afternoon, Joel?
Yeah, good afternoon, George. I'm fine.
Okay, good. Joel, Manchester United fan are you?
Yeah, I'm a sympathizer. I'm not a sympathizer.
No, it's all good. It's all good there. Yeah, so tell me, can Jose Mourinho turn things around?
He should just go. He should just go to Portugal and rest. The man is.
He should go to Portugal and rest. Okay, thank you very much, Joel. Let's go to Clement from Roman Ridge. Clement, how are you doing this afternoon?
Oh.
Hi, Clement.
Yeah.
Are you strong for the weekend? Are you sure?
I'm doubting.
You don't think Jose can do the job?
The way my Madrid team is doing, I'm not happy at all.
Are you a Madrid
from
fan?
The president?
Okay.
Because until the president just go away Benzema and Gareth Bale, because I don't know why he allowed those players and there and they are not doing anything. Now look at Gareth Bale, he's injured. And how can the coach bench Madrid and you want to win again?
Okay. Your problems are really noted there, Clement. Thank you very much. We can do more of your calls, but I will just then, whilst I'm looking here, give you an opportunity, Selwyn, on that, Jose, and your club, turn things around.
Well, Jose is washed. I mean, he's done with his time at the club.
That's too harsh.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's
that's
obvious.
Too harsh
he
for
made it
Jose
obvious
Mourinho
to us during the preseason, complaining about the youngsters at the club and complaining that he doesn't have his World Cup players. I mean, you are the manager. Get the best out of what you have, and he's not ready to do that.
He can't do the job.
He can't do the job.
You know what? Yaro is calling me from Nkoko. Yaro, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, George.
How you doing?
Until I die, Manchester forever.
Okay,
ever.
now tell me.
George, you know something?
Yeah, tell me.
That's why Manchester, we are not doing well. We are the only club from in UK. We have 4 points in our Champions League. So we don't need Jose Mourinho. Mourinho should leave and go back to Kenya, should go and rest. All
go to Kenya.
Has already got finished. Not even Portugal. We don't need him.
What's happening in Kenya? Okay, I didn't know there was something happening in Kenya for Jose Mourinho.
Serious, because we can't have a coach Moro is not a manager. He's just a coach. You need to come to Ghana and come and coach BA United.
All right. Yeah, thank you very much. Manchester United fan. That's it for our phone calls. So you're down with your point. There's just no way you can turn things around. I mean, Jima, what's your point if I come to Hans? That would be, what do you think?
In terms of the Kenya bit, I think maybe the guy is talking about Goma here.
Look at Jima, making it even worse there for Manchester United fans. Now, Hans, do you think Jose Mourinho can turn things around? He might put you guys to shame, you know.
Oh, George, Sawin has spoken, Raymond has spoken, everybody has spoken.
So what are you saying?
Enes Menu is here.
Enes Menu is not a Manchester United fan. He's a Barcelona fan. So
I mean, I was against his appointment in the first place. I don't think that. No, I think Mourinho goes against everything Manchester United stands for. It was a wrong appointment in the first place.
Are you just being ungrateful?
No,
he won trophies. That was Manchester United.
Even when he was winning trophies, I kept saying that he should be sacked because the football is just not right. I don't think that he can do anything different than he's done within the period that he's been at Manchester United.
Okay.
The worst thing you can do as a captain of a ship is to have issues with your crew, and that's exactly what Mourinho has done, and they've thrown him overboard.
So that's where you are.
He's drowning.
Thank you very much, Hans. Thank you very much, Selwyn. Oreko, now, I mean, Ray. Just before you go, a quick one on what we should expect in the Japanese Grand Prix. It's been set. I mean, 2 practices, and of course, Lewis Hamilton is looking good.
Well, George, Lewis Hamilton is certainly in a form of his life, and you look at the last 4 races at Suzuka, the Japan GP. Lewis Hamilton has won 3 out of them. Mercedes have won 4. Nico Rosberg, the other man who's won it. So clearly, it looks very much like Team Mercedes are going in there to actually win this one. And you look at how things are going for Ferrari. Ferrari seem to have lost the pace. And you look at the teamwork between Valtteri Bottas and Lewis Hamilton, you just love it. In the last race, Valtteri Bottas had to, give way for Hamilton to overtake him. That was a race Valtteri could have won. But you look at how the team seems to be working. Ferrari doesn't seem to have that coordination in their cockpit.
It would have been nice if I had you earlier. We're going to talk about how Bottas had to sacrifice for Lewis Hamilton and look at the dynamics. I'm sure we'll get to talk about that. There's going to be another Grand Prix next week. That's all fine. Raymond, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And it's good to have you back, especially from where you're coming from. It's all good. You don't know. That's the show. Okay, my name is George Addo Jr. That's it for a locker room. We're back next week with another lovely edition. Of course, my man is here. And it's always good to have him, in the house. Enes Menu, what's up?
George, I'm good. Yourself?
Yeah, I know. Yeah, I'm fine. I know there are prayers happening somewhere in the building, but it's all good. We'll get to connect to all of that. But Barcelona, we'll get to Barcelona sometime. But it was a good performance against Spurs. That's why we didn't bring you on board today.
That's fine. We are just chilled. We're watching the Jose and everything happening. We are sipping some hot chocolate.
Oh yeah, you are. That's true. You are, man. I mean, Enes, you are. Enes, what we got on the news then?
So coming up in the headline news are 2 customers of gold dealership Men's Gold have been left stranded at various offices of the company with no hope of retrieving their monies. Now, when John Hughes visited the East Legon branch, customers seen waiting for the office to be open. Now, this is the same day the company promised to pay dividends after 2 postponements. Listen.
For the past 2 months, they told us to come here last week, I think Saturday, 2 o'clock. So we were all here. I mean, the place was full up. Everybody is here to take their money. And then all of a sudden, they said that they've given a notice. That, I mean, the date, they are mixing it. They say 6 to 2, 6 to 8. I mean, everything is different. When they say this today, they will say different thing tomorrow. The next 30 minutes, it will turn to different thing.